So far, we created the strongest character from each individual anime universe. Then we took it a step further and created the strongest anime character in every anime universe combined. Now, let's push even beyond that and create the strongest anime crew that ever existed. We'll go through every team member a team can have and only pick the best case available that will add depth, variety, and strength to our group. And well, let's just say that by the end of the video, no character, group, or literally even countries would even think of coming close to this group. So before we begin, you probably learned the drill by now, right? One small ground rule to make the video even more interesting. We can only use each anime universe once. So for example, if we use Zoro as the navigator of our crew, we will not be able to use any other One Piece character from there onwards. So with that out of the way, let's now get to the exciting part of the video. Let's start from the most important position, the leader. Here we should have an insanely strong character, right? Well, I know where the mind of many people went just now. Goku. I mean, Goku's probably the prime example someone thinks of when hearing the word strength, at least in the context of anime. At his peak, Goku's power is on a level where he can fight gods, angels, and beings that manipulate time, space, and reality. His abilities grow constantly, and with every transformation and form, with Ultra Instinct being the pinnacle so far, his strength evolves non-stop. But let's see what other candidates we have. A similar character that many people like to compare when you mention Goku is, of course, Saitama. You see, Saitama's strength is intentionally exaggerated to the point of absurdity. His abilities are practically unlimited, and he is portrayed as the epitome of an overpowered character, making him one of the strongest figures in all of anime. He has no limits, and similarly to Goku, he keeps getting stronger and stronger. But next, let's see Rimuru as well. Initially reincarnated as a slime after his death in his previous life, Rimuru grew from a seemingly weak creature into one of the most powerful beings in the series. Rimuru's slime body allows him to recover from almost any injury. His predator skill helps him regenerate quickly by absorbing nutrients from the environment or his own magic reserves. In battle, this ability makes him nearly impossible to defeat through conventional means. And as a demon lord and a being of immense magical power, Rimuru is essentially immortal. Rimuru Tempest is one of the most powerful characters in modern anime, with a combination of unmatched magical ability, combat skill, leadership qualities, and near immortal durability. And the fact that with every strong opponent he fights, he gets stronger and stronger once he consumes them, Rimuru is considered by many even stronger than Goku and Saitama. But before I give the winner, I would like to mention two more characters that, in the very least, deserve a consideration. One of them is Anos from the Misfit of Demon King Academy. I will not speak a lot about him because, to be honest, I'm reserving him for another position he would be perfect for. The second character worth at least a consideration is, of course, Jinwoo. Once again, I'm not going to speak a lot about him here, as he's also perfect for another position I have in the crew. Okay, so with all of that said, which character should we choose as the leader? As we said, we're between Goku, Saitama, and Rimuru. Well, to be honest, I will have to go for Rimuru, since the leader of a group is not just about being strong. You need to be able to lead, and thus, you need to be quite smart. So Saitama is, well, you know, Saitama. I mean, just look at the dude. And then there's Goku. The guy literally punched girls to see where their balls were. Not to mention how he gave Cell a sensu bean. Yeah, Goku is definitely not the smartest. So with that being said, I will be choosing Rimuru as the group's leader. Okay, so before proceeding, I would like to ask if you ever noticed this common trait many anime series feature. You see, a central theme most anime series display is the importance of self-acceptance and happiness. That's exactly why I would like to thank today's sponsor, BetterHelp, for making today's video possible. Through this paid sponsorship, I would like to briefly emphasize the importance trained mental health professionals play in moments where, well, you might not be at your best. It happens to the best of us, and all I'll say is that with the right help, better days will come. I mean, holiday season can be overwhelming. High expectations and a burning desire to make dramatic changes in 2025. That feeling of, quote, falling behind is way more common than you think, and no one knows that better than BetterHelp. Their trained professionals will help you develop personalized timelines that feel authentic rather than socially imposed. Fill out a questionnaire and you will match with a therapist in as little as a couple days. BetterHelp makes therapy a safe space where you can share what's on your mind, whether it's stress, sadness, worries, or relationship issues, with no fear of judgment whatsoever. Remember, the new year is a blank page for you to write a new story, and BetterHelp makes it easier for you to achieve this goal. Plus, if you think that therapy is only for people with clinical depression, that's actually not true. Think of therapy as a tool for personal growth. It helps you better understand yourself, develop healthier habits, and learn effective ways to cope with and solve problems. leading to improved mental and emotional well-being. If you're struggling and think you'd benefit from a therapy session, click the link in the description or go to betterhelp.com/domain-aniki and get 10% off your first month of therapy. A special thank you to BetterHelp for supporting the channel and for the work they do every day. Having said that, let's now get back to our video. But hold on now, because both Goku and Saitama will be used later on. How? Well, check this. We now have to speak about the Vice Captain, or also known as First Mate. So, hear me out. Two of the candidates are, as we already mentioned, Goku and Saitama. But I'd also like to speak about two other characters here as well. Giorno Giovanna is one of them. You see, Giorno can create life, turning inanimate objects into living organisms. And let's just say that this ability is highly versatile, since it can heal injuries, use animals or plants for reconnaissance, or to confuse enemies, or even transform objects mid-fight, catching opponents off guard. And that's literally the base ability he has. By using Gold Experience Requiem, Giorno can reset any action or event to a state where it effectively never happened. Plus, he can trap opponents in an endless loop of dying and reviving, leaving them in perpetual torment. All in all, Giorno Giovanna, while using Gold Experience Requiem, is a near invincible force whose abilities make him one of the most formidable characters in anime. The second character we can consider other than Saitama and Goku is, of course, Gojo Satoru. Being the honored one, Gojo is one of the most overpowered characters in modern anime. As a special grade Jujutsu sorcerer, he wields immense strength, unmatched technique, and an unparalleled understanding of Jujutsu sorcery. He's literally dubbed as, quote, the strongest. And let's just say that his set of abilities make him nearly untouchable. Many claim that Gojo could even defeat Goku. Well, to be honest, we made a video about that in the past, analyzing which anime characters can and which cannot defeat Gojo. You can go ahead and watch that one as well once you finish watching this one. So, Giorno versus Goku versus Saitama versus Gojo. Who should we put as a vice captain? Well, to be honest, I would like to use either Goku or Saitama here, but since I can still use those two in other points as well, don't worry, you'll see what I mean in a bit. I'm instead gonna go for Giorno. Plus, Giorno is arguably smarter than those two, so at the very least, since this position requires brains as well, Giorno would probably make a better vice captain than the two of them. Okay, having covered those two positions, which one should we choose for the second mate? Well, here, it's a clear battle between Goku and Saitama. So, who do you think is the stronger between the two? Well, you can go ahead and let us know in the comments down below. Is Goku stronger than Saitama, or is it the other way around? But well, since we have to choose someone on our end, I'd probably have to give it to Goku here. Not because of strength, but simply because I'm biased. I mean, come on, I love Goku. I literally grew up watching him get stronger. So call me biased if you want, but I'm gonna say this. Don't worry too much though, as Saitama does have a spot in our group, just in a different role. Moving on, let's give our crew a summoner. All right, so the first candidate here would normally be Rimuru, since he can summon powerful creatures from the monster realm. But since we've already used Rimuru as our leader, we obviously won't be using him again. The first candidate here is Yugi Muto from Yu-Gi-Oh! You see, by using the Millennium Puzzle, it grants Yugi the ability to channel the spirit of the ancient pharaoh at him. This bond gives him access to the powers of the pharaoh, which significantly boosts his dueling ability. When it comes to summons now, well, he can summon gods like Slifer the Sky Dragon, Obelisk the Tormentor, and the Winged Dragon of Ra. All three Egyptian gods are among the most powerful cards in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Universe. Our next candidate is Megumi with his 10 Shadows technique. This technique allows Megumi to summon and control up to 10 Shikigami, with his strongest one being, of course, Maharaga, a divine-like beast that appears as a massive, multi-armed, and intimidating creature. One of Maharaga's defining abilities is its perfect adaptability. After facing an attack, Maharaga can adapt to it and become immune to the same attack if it encounters it again. This makes it particularly powerful in battle, as it can learn from its enemies' moves and counter them effectively. Well, if you thought those summoners were powerful, give it a moment, because believe me, the next candidates I will analyze now are on a whole different level. First of all, we have Jojo characters that can summon their own stands. Some of the strongest users include Dio with his stand, the World, that can basically freeze time, as well as throw some insanely powerful punches. Something very similar is Jotaro's stand, Star Platinum. Then we have Giorno's stand, Gold Experience Requiem. We also have Pucci with his stand, Made in Heaven, that accelerates time to an infinite degree, resetting the universe and creating a new one where Pucci is in control of fate. This power grants Pucci a godlike ability to manipulate reality. Now we also have Tusk Act 4 of Johnny Joestar, as well as Wonder of You of Toru. We won't speak much about those though, out since it includes manga spoilers that we don't usually cover in our channels, and I'm going to assume that many of you probably haven't read that much of the JoJo's manga. But we will say this, none of the stand users are really considered, since we already used Giorno a few moments ago. That'd be cheating. The next character we're going to consider then is Ainz ul Gaon. Ainz can summon high-level undead creatures such as Death Knights, Soul Eaters, and more. His summoned minions are strong enough to defeat armies or high-level opponents. He also has exceptional magical abilities, but I'm not going to mention those for now since I'll analyze them a little bit later in my next point. But for now, let's just say this. None of the characters we mentioned so far will actually be considered, since the character we will be taking makes this not even a close fight, to be honest. And that's the legend himself, Sung Jinwoo. Sung Jinwoo possesses immense physical abilities, mastery of shadow-based powers, and command over an army of powerful subordinates. He can easily defeat high-level monsters and opponents with raw physical power, and he can wield heavy weapons effortlessly. He is incredibly fast, often moving too quickly for opponents to react. His agility allows him to dodge attacks, close distances in an instant, and overwhelm enemies. His body heals at an incredible rate, making him nearly invulnerable to most forms of physical damage. And on top of all those, he has an army of over 10 million shadows, with some of them being strong enough to destroy the entire world on their own. Jinwoo is actually a godlike entity that could very easily even have been the leader of this group. But the way we played it, we managed to add both Sung Jinwoo as well as other incredibly strong characters. The next member in our list, let's add a magician. First, let's further analyze a bit about Ainz ul Gaon that we previously mentioned. You see, Ainz could very easily be considered for the position of the magician as well in our video. Ainz can cast The Goal of All Life is Death, which ensures death to almost all living beings within its area of effect. Plus, he can summon undead, debuff enemies, and deal devastating magical damage. But is he the best option for this position? Not quite, because the character I will actually be choosing is none other than Anos Voldigo. Hear me out. Anos is a reincarnated demon king with godlike magical capabilities. His mana reserves are seemingly infinite, allowing him to cast devastating spells without effort. He can create life, worlds, and powerful items with ease. He can return from death effortlessly, even if his body or soul is destroyed. He has shown the ability to resurrect himself and others, making killing him nearly impossible. His sword destroys anything it touches, ignoring durability, immortality, and even concepts like time and fate. Anos' abilities make him one of the strongest anime protagonists. Unlike characters who rely on specific powers or rules, Anos breaks the very foundations of logic and reality. And this is why I'll be choosing him for this position. All right, let's keep going. Now let's add some muscle to our group. Here, we are considering characters with a highly muscular build, that if they needed to throw hands, well, let's just say that they surely can punch a solid hit. The first character I'm considering is All Might from My Hero Academia. Being the strongest hero in the world is no easy task, especially when you consider that his ability is not anything overly complicated. The dude just punches really hard. All Might's immense power comes from the quirk, One for All, which grants him superhuman abilities by stockpiling power over generations and passing it on to successors. All Might can punch with enough force to create shockwaves, destroy buildings, and change weather patterns. His speed allows him to outpace vehicles, react to attacks almost instantly, and close distances in the blink of an eye. But let's see what other candidates we have in store. Well, here we should at least consider Jotaro, right? Well, in reality, if we hadn't already chosen Giorno, and thus used JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, I'd probably be going with him. I mean, his ability to stop time is literally broken. But let's see what other candidates we can still use. Goku is obviously one that could be considered as well. But again, we not only use Dragon Ball, but we have already taken Goku himself. So who else? Well, we have Zoro from One Piece, where One Piece has yet to be used. Yeah, I know Zoro's primary fighting method is swords, but I still suppose he could fit in this category as well. Zoro combines immense physical strength, exceptional sword skills, and great hockey mastery. But again, is he the best candidate? Not quite, because we now have to talk about Yujiro as well. Yujiro is the strongest character in his series. He's recognized as the strongest creature on Earth, with his strength being equal to, or perhaps even greater than an entire nation's modern military. Yujiro was able to defeat the American military forces by himself while only being 16 at the time. Some of Yujiro's greatest feats of strength include pushing back 100 riot police, completely stopping the tectonic activity of an earthquake by punching the ground, tapping craters into a concrete wall, easily knocking out a giant elephant not even tanks could damage, cutting glass with his fingers, and crushing a piece of coal to dust. Yujiro's hits have even been likened to that of a nuclear impact. Whole armies have used their best weapons to stop him, but to no effect. Correct, but my actual choice here, none other than Escanor from Seven Deadly Sins. Known as the strongest holy knight, his immense power, pride, and unwavering confidence make him one of the most powerful characters in the whole series. Escanor's power, Sunshine, is tied to the sun and grants him incredible strength and abilities. At high noon, for 1 minute, Escanor enters the One Form, a state of invincibility where he becomes a godlike being. He can generate intense heat, capable of melting armor, weapons, and terrain. And we're not even mentioning his incredible physical capabilities. So, for this position, I'll be choosing Escanor. Okay, so far we've covered quite a few magic users, so let's take someone with absolutely no magical powers, meaning in a world of magic, sorcery, and other metaphysical aspects, what they use instead is nothing but physical feats stemmed from their hard work. The first character in mind is, of course, Might Guy, especially when he opens up the 8th gate. In this state, Guy has unmatched physical power, speed beyond comprehension, as well as access to a move called Night Guy. And well, let's just say that this move was powerful enough to heavily injure Madara Uchiha in his 10 Tails Jinchuriki form, a feat few could achieve. We could consider Rock Lee here for this trait, but until we see him actually using the 8th gate, Might Guy has an advantage, I think. But who is our actual second choice here? None other than Asta from Black Clover. Asta was born without any magic, which makes him immune to the effects of mana-based detection and manipulation. This deficiency allows him to wield the anti-magic swords, a power that counters magic on every level. Asta is also bounded with Liba, a devil residing in his grimoire. Despite lacking magic, Asta's intense physical training makes him incredibly strong, fast. He has exceptionally high endurance, and overall, I do think he makes a better choice than Might Guy for 2 reasons. He is, although not 100% confirmed, stronger than Might Guy. And the second reason I'll be going with him is because I want to use the Naruto series down the line for another position. So, Asta is our choice here. Next up is among one of my favorites, a youngster. Okay, so here we should obviously choose someone that is not yet an adult. I would add a step further and say we should choose someone that's not even a teenager. So which ones do we have as choices? Well, Gon from Hunter x Hunter is a valid choice, especially in his adult form. Gon is a different beast, potentially as strong or even stronger than characters like Meruem and Netero. Gon's adult form grants him strength far beyond what even elite Nen users can achieve. He overpowers Pitu, one of the most powerful Chimera ants, with sheer brute force. Gon's Nen ability, amplified in his adult form, becomes devastatingly powerful. His rock technique delivers a punch strong enough to obliterate Pitu with a single strike. Next up, we of course have to speak about Killua as well. As a member of the infamous Zoldyck family of assassins, Killua is an extraordinary talent. Superhuman speed, strength, and durability, and Nen mastery, Killua has it all. His primary Nen ability is the transmutation of his aura into electricity. This gives him a unique combat edge and makes his attacks both unpredictable and highly effective. Next, let's talk about Bonnie. I mean, in more recent manga chapters, Bonnie could even become Nika herself. So there's that as well. Combined with the fact that she's the youngest member of the worst generation, Bonnie's potential is actually enormous. And we still did not take into account that with a single touch, as long as her haki is more powerful than her opponents, she can turn anyone into either incredibly old versions of themselves or even infants. With the proper help from a strong crew like the one we're creating, Bonnie can literally become one of the strongest pirates in history. But in reality, the next 2 candidates I will analyze are both incredibly more powerful than the ones already analyzed. And the best part? They're not just children, they're literally just a few days old. The first one is Meruem. And yeah, for anyone that did not realize, this dude wasn't even a week old when he almost destroyed the whole world. Meruem's body is nearly indestructible, with immense regenerative capabilities. Even after sustaining significant damage, such as from Netero's final attack, he can recover rapidly. Meruem's Nen abilities evolve throughout the series, particularly after his exposure to Komugi, a human girl who introduces him to the concept of vulnerability and emotion. His Nen abilities are advanced, especially given his initial lack of understanding about Nen. Meruem can use Nen with little to no formal training. His Nen control and output are far beyond that of typical Nen users, even surpassing other Chimera ants who were much older. Okay, so who's that special someone that might rival Meruem? Well, the answer to that could be Piccolo. That's also just a few days or months old, depending on which point in the series we're talking about. But yeah, since we already used Dragon Ball, no point in discussing that further, right? Our choice here is Meruem. Up next, let's give our crew an animal. The first animal we are considering is Chopper from One Piece. Not only does he have exceptional healing capabilities as a doctor, his fighting potency is surely no joke. After all, in his monster point, he does become numerous times stronger than his base form. But as far as raw physical power, well, let's just say that there are definitely better choices, especially considering that we'll later add a healer or a doctor to our crew through another position. So, which is the next animal we're considering? Acnologia from Fairy Tail. Known for his brutal strength, overwhelming magic, and ruthless personality, he's a dragon slayer, but his power extends far beyond that of typical dragon slayers, making him a major antagonist in the Fairy Tail series. Acnologia's physical strength is immense. He has been described as a force of nature, capable of destroying entire cities with a single attack. His raw power makes him an incredibly dangerous opponent, even without the use of his magic. He's highly skilled in hand-to-hand combat, and he often engages enemies in physical confrontations with overwhelming force, further amplifying his reputation as a terrifying fighter. Okay, so which one of them should I choose? Well, none of them, as the actual strongest animal that comes to my mind is none other than Arceus from the Pokemon series. And yeah, sorry for the blurring in the Pokemon pictures here. Unfortunately, the studio holding the copyrights over Pokemon go crazy with the strikes on YouTube, so I'm trying to avoid that one. But anyway, what I will say is that this Pokemon is considered a godlike entity, and as a result, this is the only right choice for our crew. Next up, let's talk about a healer or doctor. Our first choice is, of course, Chopper, who we already spoke about. He's a great doctor and can definitely fight as well. But well, a One Piece character would be even better for this trait, to be honest. Law. And with the help of his Devil Fruit, he's arguably a better doctor than Chopper when it comes to surgeries at the very least. And overall, he does seem to make a better candidate for this point. But hear me out. Orihime from Bleach. You see, her ability is to reject the damage that has been done to a person or object. This process works by reversing the state of the target's body to a previous undamaged state, reverting the target back to its condition before the injury or damage. And let's just say that this ability has some exceptional uses, as it can literally regrow limbs. Heck, even restore someone that is practically a few seconds away from death with half of his body literally missing. If I'm being completely honest, under different circumstances, I would be choosing Orihime for this point. However, I'm reserving Bleach for another trait, and thus, I'll be choosing someone else here. So let's see who we've got from the My Hero Academia universe. Recovery Girl is definitely a candidate, as through the series, she showcased some great feats when it comes to healing other people's injuries, especially Deku's bones that were constantly broken. But as we saw, her healing was not 100% perfect, as Deku's bones were not fully restored to their previous pre-injury state. Instead, who I'll be choosing is Eri. You see, her quirk Rewind gives her the ability to reverse the state of living beings or objects to a previous state, essentially rewinding time for them. And yeah, this means perfect healing. So in essence, since Eri is still very young and has not fully mastered her quirk yet, if and when she does, she has an even better healing power compared to Orihime. Because of that, she'll be the one I'm choosing for our crew. Up next, let's decide on a sniper for our crew. Who's the first character that comes to mind when it comes to snipers? None other than Lil Baro. You see, this guy is not just good at aiming, something pretty standard for characters we would consider for the point. He has magical abilities in combination with his incredible aim. His power and abilities even place him among the most formidable Quincy. Lil's Shrift, the X-axis, allows him to pierce through anything in his line of sight without any delay or physical interaction. This makes his attacks nearly impossible to dodge or block conventionally. After transforming into his second holy form, Lil becomes intangible and can regenerate from almost any injury, making him extremely difficult to kill. His rifle can fire beams that travel vast distances, making him lethal in both close and long-range combat. Normally, I'll be honest, he's the one I would choose. However, I'm still reserving Bleach for another point. You'll see why I'm doing that in a little bit. So who are the two other characters I've got in mind? The first is Mina Ashiro from Kaiju number 8. Mina's combat prowess is exceptional, reflected in her ability to wield the anti-kaiju sniper that, well, it's more of a cannon to be honest, rather than a sniper. It's a weapon so powerful and heavy that only she can handle it effectively. Mina's aim is nearly flawless. She can pinpoint and obliterate vital points on kaiju, ensuring quick and efficient extermination. I mean, her synchronization rate with her combat suit is among the highest in the Defense Force, indicating her exceptional compatibility and raw potential, 96% to be precise. Okay, so with all of that said, who's our third option? Yoko Lichtner from Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann. Yoko is an elite sniper, skilled in using her custom-designed, high-powered rifle. She has incredible accuracy and can shoot targets from great distances, even in chaotic chaotic battle scenarios. By the end of Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann, Yoko fights alongside a team that eventually battles galactic-scale enemies. While Yoko herself does not pilot the massive mechs, she has faced opponents whose power levels dwarf those in Kaiju number 8, and as a result, I would have to go for her here. Up next, one of the most exciting positions. A swordsman. Let's start from Yoriichi of Demon Slayer. Yoriichi was by far the strongest Demon Slayer in history, able to destroy even a demigod like Demon King Muzan. It's obvious that Yoriichi has mastered the art of swordsmanship and stands at the pinnacle of power level when it comes to Demon Slayer. You see, being born with the Demon Slayer mark, access to the transparent world and selfless state, as well as possessing a physique polished to the highest caliber and innate swordsmanship talent, Yoriichi possesses all of extraordinary speed, reflexes, sword wielding skills, enhanced physical strength, and power, as well as exceptional tactical intellect. How about Zoro now? Well, he's also exceptionally strong. I would dare say probably stronger than Yoriichi, as the One Piece universe is arguably a stronger universe than the Demon Slayer one. Exceptional strength, speed, durability, ability to cut through almost anything, great sword wielding abilities. Zoro has it all. And since we mentioned Zoro, we have to go a step further and talk about Mihawk, right? After all, he is stronger than Zoro, at least while we're making this video, that is. But wait, because even though the One Piece universe is stronger than the Demon Slayer one, even the One Piece universe falls short when compared to the Bleach universe. So now, let's talk about Ichigo. Ichigo's strongest form, which utilizes all of his Quincy, Shinigami, Fullbring, and Hollow powers, grant an insane set of abilities that, among others, allow him to heal himself, protect his body from outside attacks, move at tremendous speeds, and even strike with enough power to take down even gods! But what if I told you that our next character is even stronger than Ichigo? This is none other than Aizen. I mean, the guy is practically a god at this point. Aizen's Zanpakuto grants him complete hypnosis, which can manipulate all 5 senses of his target, creating perfect illusions. He possesses spiritual pressure of extraordinary magnitude, and after fusing with the Hogyoku, a powerful artifact capable of granting wishes and transcending normal boundaries of life and death, his new transformation gives Aizen regenerative abilities to the point of being close to immortality, immense durability, and further enhancement of his already massive spiritual power. Okay, here I do want to briefly speak about another candidate as well, and that's Yami from Black Clover. You see, Yami is a great swordsman that can practically cut through dimensions. Normally, I'd speak more about him, but I think it's pretty obvious who I'm going to be choosing here, right? Aizen is our crew's swordsman. Alright, we've chosen a swordsman, now let's choose a non-sword weapon user next. The first character that comes to mind is, of course, Kurapika. You see, when Kurapika activates his Scarlet Eyes, his Nen type shifts from Conjuration to Specialization, unlocking his full potential. Kurapika's has 5 chains, each with their unique abilities. The Holy Chain for healing, the Chain Jail for restraining, the Judgment Chain for condition and punishment, the Steel Chain for stealing Nen, and the Dowsing Chain for detection. Well, let's just say that with these chains, Kurapika becomes insanely powerful, enough so to bring a shovel to a match against a Phantom Troop member. He was that confident he would win, he just casually brought a shovel with him to bury the guy after he won. Now that's what you call disrespect. But since we already used Hunter x Hunter's universe, we would now have to use another anime instead. This will be Record of Ragnarok and Mjolnir as our non-sword weapon user. He wields a legendary hammer that reflects Thor's immense power and stature as one of the mightiest Norse gods. Mjolnir channels Thor's elemental control over thunder and lightning. When used in combat, the hammer unleashes devastating shockwaves and bursts of electrical energy, capable of obliterating anything in its path. Mjolnir's strikes are capable of annihilating anything it contacts, from physical structures to opponents. It delivers both blunt force and the devastating energy of Thor's divine thunder. My choice is Mjolnir from Record of Ragnarok. Up next, let's add a tactician or some brains in our crew. This will be the clever guy that solves impossible riddles and understands things that the rest of people cannot. For this one, I've got 4 candidates in mind. First of all, Ayato Koji from Classroom of the Elite. Clever, cunning, and manipulative, Ayato Koji is among the smartest characters in anime. But is he the smartest? Not quite, because I think some of the other ones I have are either smarter or, well, let's just say they'd fit better in our crew. Next in line is Senku from Dr. Stone. Now that guy is a true representation of genius. The guy literally advances the entire world in terms of science by thousands of years, all on his own, and all that purely because of his intellect. But hear me out. The 2 we analyzed are smart, no doubt about it, but why not add someone that is both smart as well as has combat abilities? An example of that is Shikamaru from Naruto series. On top of being an incredibly smart individual, Shikamaru also possesses ninjutsu abilities, meaning he is in the very least a better candidate than the 2 we already analyzed. However, I'll be discarding him for two separate reasons. The first is that I want to use the Naruto universe for another point, and the second reason being that the fourth candidate is actually the best choice we have, and this is none other than Light Yagami from Death Note. I mean, the guy's not just smart. All he needs to do is write the name of someone in his Death Note, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Light might actually be the strongest character in our crew under the right circumstances. Moving on, let's give our crew an assassin. Now, we want to add stealth, so let's see which characters we will be considering. Well, naturally, this will be a ninja, right? We have Gabimaru from Hell's Paradise, and of course, Ninja from Naruto. Namely, I'm gonna be considering Naruto, Boruto, and Madara. So between the three of them, I'll be honest, maybe Boruto is more powerful than Naruto, but I would want to use Naruto instead. I don't know, call me biased, it just is what it is. And why not Madara? Well, again, Madara is among my favorite villains in all of anime, but at the same time, adult Naruto was stated to be stronger than him. Alright, so how about Gabimaru then? Well, not many things needed to say here, other than that Gabimaru is not even remotely as powerful as Naruto, right? Our crew's shinobi is now Naruto. And finally, let's decide on our crew's scientist. Yeah, I know we already added brains in the crew, but that's different from having a scientist. I mean, we still need someone to build stuff, right? Well, our first choice is Dr. Gero from Dragon Ball. I mean, Dr. Gero is portrayed as one of the most brilliant scientists in the Dragon Ball universe. His intelligence is demonstrated through his groundbreaking inventions and ability to manipulate technology and biology to an extraordinary degree. Dr. Gero engineered androids with varying abilities, strengths, and personalities, including 16, 17, 18, 19, and even himself as Android 20. Plus, don't forget that Cell is his invention, so I suppose he would be our best choice. However, since we already use the Dragon Ball universe, we'll have to go for someone else. And believe me, I am not complaining on this one, because his scientific breakthroughs are also insane. He's widely regarded as the most intelligent character in the series, credited with countless technological and scientific breakthroughs that have significantly shaped the world. Vegapunk developed the Pacifistas, which are powerful cyborgs modeled after Bartholomew Kuma, equipped with lasers and various weapons of mass destruction. He also created the Seraphims, a next-generation line that combines Lunarian DNA with traits of the 7 warlords of the sea. He managed to create clones of people, devil fruits, create insane mechanical sea beasts, all kinds of weapons, and so on and so forth. Now, imagine having the crew we just analyzed, and on top of all that, our scientists can now multiply and clone the characters we have. Imagine an army of Gokus fighting alongside an army of Aizens, Narutos, and so on and so forth. Yeah, I'm pretty confident we created the strongest crew in anime's history. That's for sure. Click on this video next, where we analyze how Gojo against different anime characters plays out. Go on, check it out!